My best teacher was recruiting students for her parallel studio, telling them my school was going to close. I found out when Mom asked me if it was true. What I found was a lie built with precision. There are things you build over years that are not only yours, that also belong to the people who study in them, to the families who trust you with what they love most, to the students who have spent 7 years learning to move in a way they would not have learned anywhere else, because every school has its own way of teaching and its own way of seeing movement. My dance school had that, a way of teaching I had built over 12 years. That Valeria had learned over 5, and that Valeria had decided to use to take away what I had built. Not only the students, the lie she had invented so the students would leave. My name is Gabriela. I am 37 years old. I am director and founder of Escuela de Danza Movimiento, a contemporary dance and ballet school with 140 students and 6 teachers. Valeria is 31 years old. She is my best teacher. She has been at the school for 5 years. I had formed her from when she arrived with 2 years of experience and few pedagogical tools. I had given her advanced methodology, teaching classes. I had sent her to training workshops. I had given her access to the most advanced students because she was the one best able to accompany them at that level. And that trust and that exposure were exactly what she had been using to build something at my expense. With a lie I had not expected. The mother who asked me whether the school was going to close was named Patricia. She was 42 years old. Her daughter, Lucia, had been at the school for 6 years. She was one of the most advanced students. She was 1 year away from being able to present herself for university dance auditions. Patricia came to pick up Lucia on a Tuesday afternoon. She saw me and asked me directly whether it was true that the school was going to close. I told her no, that the school was not going to close. She asked whether I was sure. I told her completely. I asked her where she had heard that. Patricia took a while. She told me Valeria had told her the school was going through serious financial difficulties, that it would probably not survive the year, that she had decided to open her own studio, that she was offering Lucia a spot at a lower price, that it was an opportunity before the school closed. I stood looking at Patricia for a moment. I told her nothing Valeria had told her was true, that the school had no financial difficulties, that it was not at risk of closing, that what she was describing was something serious I needed to investigate, that I was enormously grateful she told me directly. Patricia nodded. She told me she had thought about it a lot before telling me, that in the end she had decided that if it were the other way around, she would have wanted to know. That afternoon, I did not go to Valeria. What I did was what I had learned to do when something important needed to be completely understood before being confronted. I called 4 more mothers of the most advanced students, not accusatorially. Under the pretext of a satisfaction follow-up I did periodically. In all 4 calls, I found the same pattern. Valeria had contacted all 4 privately in the last 3 weeks. All 4 had received the same story about the school's financial difficulties. All 4 had received an invitation to her studio, which was going to open. 2 of the 4 had provisionally accepted because they had believed what Valeria told them about the closure. I had the pattern, clear, documented in 4 conversations, with a specific lie that was more serious than just an attempt to take students. A lie about the state of the school that had produced real fear in real families who had made decisions based on false information. I called my labor attorney that night. Her name was Carmen. I described what I had. She told me what Valeria had done had several implications. First, spreading false information about the financial state of my business to attract clients was a documentable, unfair competition practice. Second, directly contacting my clients to take them was a violation of Valeria's employment contract, which included non-competition and non-solicitation clauses. Third, the combination of the lie and the direct client contact made the case clearer than either of the 2 alone would have been. She told me before the confrontation to document everything I had. The conversations with the 4 mothers, the dates, the names, the specific content of what Valeria had said. The confrontation with Valeria I had the following day. At the school, before the students arrived, I told her directly that I had had conversations with several families from the school, that all of them had told me the same thing, that Valeria had contacted them saying the school was going to close, that she had offered them a spot at her studio. Valeria did not deny it immediately. There was a silence, and then she told me it was true. She had been considering opening her own space, that it had not been her intention to harm the school. I told her there was a specific element that was not only a question of intention, that she had said the school was going to close, that was a lie, that the school had no financial difficulties of any kind, that she had invented that lie to create urgency in the families, that real families had made decisions based on that false information. Valeria told me she had thought the families would not leave just because she opened a studio, that she had thought they needed a stronger reason. That answer told me everything I needed to know about the level of awareness of what she had done. I told her the school had taken legal advice, that her actions constituted unfair competition and contract violation, that she had two options. The first, a negotiated exit with consequences that acknowledged what she had done. The second, a formal legal process with potentially more significant consequences for her ability to operate in the future. I told her I was giving her 24 hours to think. Valeria chose the first option. The agreement we signed included her immediate departure from the school, financial compensation to the school for the potential damage caused, the commitment to contact the family she had lied to in order to correct the information, and a non-competition clause for a specific period within a defined geographic radius. Valeria complied with contacting the families. The two who had provisionally accepted her offer returned to the school when they found out the reason they had considered leaving was false. What cost me most of the entire process was the week after the resolution. Not because of Valeria, but because of the retroactive review of 5 years of training and trust. The workshops I'd sent her to, the access I had given her to the most advanced students, the conversations where I had told her about the school's projects, about the plans for the following year, about conversations with families about their daughters' trajectories. All that information had been available to someone who was building an exit that used that same information. That retroactive review is the part that takes the most time, and that is least resolved by any formal process. The school continues, with the students who stayed, with the teachers who are there, with protocols it did not have before. Employment contracts with more specific non-competition and non-solicitation clauses. Direct and periodic communication with families about the state of the school, so any information that circulates through informal channels can be verified. And the awareness that the trust one place in the people I train has to be accompanied by the controls that make that trust not have to be perfect. What I want you to take from this story has parts for people in different positions. For those who run schools, studios, or any personal services business where client relationships are the foundation of the business, employment contracts with clear non-competition and non-solicitation clauses are not evidence of distrust. They're the structure that protects the business when trust fails. And direct and periodic communication with your clients about the state of your business is the best defense against false narratives someone might build about you. Because the families who already have a direct relationship with you are the ones who will verify before acting. As Patricia did. For those in Valeria's position, wanting to start your own project after working in someone else's is legitimate. The way you do it matters. The honest exit, even when difficult, almost always has better consequences than the exit built with lies. Because lies are discovered, and when they are discovered, the conversation is no longer only about the exit. It is about the lie. And that is a conversation with very different consequences. If this story resonated with you, comment. Do you have non-competition clauses in your team's contracts, or do you trust that loyalty is sufficient that it is not necessary? Like if you believe spreading false information about a business's financial state to attract clients should have clearer legal consequences than it currently has. Subscribe for more real stories. Share with someone who runs a school, studio, or personal services business and who might benefit from reviewing their employment contracts. Practical tip. If you have employees who have direct contact with your clients, make sure your employment contracts include a clause that explicitly prohibits contact with company clients for recruitment purposes both during employment and for a defined period after termination. That clause needs to be specific about what constitutes recruitment and what the consequences of violating it are. The specificity is what makes it enforceable.